Today, I want to talk to you guys about the biggest lie being repeated across every news outlet, every real estate blog, and every doom and gloom YouTube channel right now, because what they're telling you about this housing market is frankly designed to scare you into making a bad decision. And the worst part is, some of it sounds true on the surface. That's what makes it so dangerous. So today, I want to break down exactly what they're not telling you and why the crash narrative being pushed in 2026 is one of the most misleading stories in real estate right now. Let's start with the headline everyone's obsessed with: mortgage rates. Every single article right now wants you to believe that because rates sit around 6.5% instead of 3%, the entire housing market is collapsing and buyers are getting crushed. And yes, on paper, that's a fact. Higher rates mean less buying power. A buyer with a couple $1,000s a month to spend can afford a smaller loan today than they could back when rates were near record lows. Nobody's disputing the math. But here's what they conveniently leave out of every single one of these stories. The people who bought at 3% didn't actually win. They just delayed the pain. Think about it logically for a second. When rates were at rock bottom, buyers weren't getting a deal. They were getting access to bigger loans, which pushed them into bigger, more expensive homes. And a bigger, more expensive home doesn't just cost more upfront, it costs more every single month for as long as you own it. Higher property taxes that climb every year. Higher insurance premiums, especially with the way insurance costs have exploded across the country over the last few years. Higher utility bills, higher maintenance costs, higher everything. So, while the media wants you to feel sorry for buyers today who can't afford as much house, what they're not telling you is that the buyers who could afford more house a few years ago are now the same people showing up in foreclosure filings. And that's not a coincidence, guys. If you actually look at the data on who is falling behind on payments and losing their homes right now, it's overwhelmingly people who bought in the last several years, right in that low rate window everyone keeps glorifying. They got the good deal on the interest rate, but they stretched into homes that came with a lifetime of expenses they didn't fully account for. Meanwhile, buyers today who are locked into smaller loans at higher rates are, in a strange twist nobody wants to admit, in a safer position. Because the price you pay for a house is permanent. It never changes. But interest rates change all the time. You can refinance a rate. You cannot refinance the fact that you overpaid for a property 5 years ago. So when these channels and these articles say the lie being told right now is that low rates were better, they're half right, but they're spinning it backwards. The real lie is the one being told today, that affordability being harder right now is some kind of unprecedented crisis. In reality, it's functioning exactly the way it's supposed to. It's a safeguard. It's preventing a flood of underqualified buyers from jumping into homes they can't actually sustain long term. And if you don't believe me, just look at the actual cost increases behind the scenes. Property taxes have climbed substantially since just a few years ago. Insurance costs in plenty of states have more than doubled. Maintenance and emergency repair costs have surged dramatically, in some categories by well over 100%. These are the real numbers driving foreclosures, not the mortgage rate headline everyone loves to blame. Now, here's where it gets even more interesting, because the same people pushing the crash narrative also want you to believe that falling home prices are automatically a bad sign. And I want you to really sit with that for a second, because this is where the manipulation gets obvious. They'll tell you that price declines driven by weak demand are dangerous because it signals something is wrong with the economy. Okay, fair point in isolation. But then they completely skip over the fact that weak demand right now isn't because nobody wants to live anywhere or because crime is spiking in every city in America. It's because regular people can no longer stretch themselves into homes priced far beyond what their income actually supports. That's not an economic collapse. That's the market finally pushing back against years of unsustainable price growth. And when you really break it down, falling prices paired with rising wages, which is actually happening in a lot of markets right now, is universally considered a healthy sign by economists. It means affordability is improving without some catastrophic crash happening. But that nuance never makes it into the scary headlines, because affordability is slowly improving doesn't get clicks. Housing market crash 2026 does. That's the business model behind half of these channels and articles. Fear sells. Calm, rational explanations don't. Let's talk about the income numbers too, because this is another spot where the narrative gets twisted. They love pointing out that the salary required to afford a median home has nearly doubled over the past several years, and they frame it like it's some terrifying red flag. But ask yourself this: if you need to make significantly more money to comfortably carry a mortgage today, isn't that exactly the kind of barrier that keeps people from biting off more than they can chew? A higher bar for entry isn't a flaw in the system, it's a filter. It's the same reason banks require down payments and proof of income in the first place, to stop people from getting into financial situations they can't sustain. And when you look at who's actually buying homes in the upper price brackets right now, the vast majority of them are financially prepared for it. Are there exceptions? Sure, there always are. But broadly speaking, today's buyers are walking in with far more financial cushion than the buyers from the low-rate frenzy a few years back. There's also this growing argument that fewer people becoming homeowners is some kind of societal failure, but nobody stops to ask the obvious question: is that actually a bad thing for the individual? In most cities across the country, renting still costs significantly less per month than owning. So if people are choosing to rent longer, save more, invest the difference, and wait for a better entry point, how exactly is that a crisis? It's not. It's discipline. It's patience. And it's the exact opposite of the reckless buying behavior that got so many homeowners in trouble during the low-rate years. Now, I do want to be fair here, because not everything in these scary stories is fabricated. There are real challenges in this market. Insurance costs really have skyrocketed in certain states. Property taxes really are climbing faster than wages in some regions. Inventory really is mismatched in some metros, with plenty of listings priced for high earners and almost nothing available for middle-income buyers. These are legitimate issues. But the solution being floated by some of these so-called experts, things like extending mortgage terms to 50 years or rolling out even more government-backed low-down payment programs, is exactly the kind of move that makes things worse, not better. Every time the government injects more artificial buying power into the market, it doesn't make homes more affordable. It just pushes prices higher because more people can technically qualify for bigger loans, which drives competition right back up. We've seen this play out before, and we'll see it again if these programs move forward. So when you strip away all the scary headlines and the panicked narration in these videos, the actual truth is much simpler and much less dramatic. The housing market isn't collapsing into some 2008-style disaster. It's correcting. It's slowly, painfully, but necessarily adjusting back toward a place where prices align with what people actually earn. That process is uncomfortable for people who bought at the peak, and it's frustrating for people who are still priced out today. But it's not a lie that's hurting buyers. It's a lie that's hurting the narrative the media wants you to believe, which is that we need rates to crash back to zero and prices to keep climbing forever for the market to be healthy. Real health in this market looks like wages catching up to home prices. It looks like insurance and tax costs stabilizing. It looks like builders adjusting their pricing to match what local buyers can actually pay, instead of building homes nobody in the area can afford. And most importantly, it looks like buyers staying patient instead of panic buying because some headline told them rates are about to crash or prices are about to soar. The biggest lie in the housing market right now isn't about interest rates. It's the idea that you need to rush into a decision before it's too late. That fear is what's selling this narrative, and that fear is exactly what you need to ignore if you actually want to build long-term wealth through real estate. So I want to know what you guys think. Do you believe today's higher rates and stricter qualifying standards are actually protecting buyers? Or do you think the system is genuinely broken? Let me know in the comments, because I read every single one of them. If this video opened your eyes a little bit, do me a favor and smash that like button and make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss the next breakdown. Because there's a lot more of this nonsense circulating right now that needs to be called out. If you don't want to wait for the next one, check out the video right on your screen and I'll see you in the next one.